Get the right mic, get the right camera, and we should be firing on all cylinders all of a sudden. Hey, Jason Bryan joins us this morning. Good morning, Jay. I want to talk to you after the show, actually. I'll give you a call when we're done. I'll try to remember. Okay, so Jimmy Kimmel's back. That's worth talking about. It's worth talking about, not because Jimmy Kimmel's worth talking about. Jimmy Kimmel's an unrepentant liar and a general shitbird. It's worth talking about because of how it happened. So what happened was Jimmy Kimmel went on his show right after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and surprise, surprise, celebrated it, called for more assassinations, and lied about who Charlie Kirk was. And let me, we've said this over and over again. And yes, I am exhausted with discussing Charlie Kirk's assassination for what? Primarily because we should not have to be discussing the assassination of political pundits for their speech. Now, we saw this outcry, we saw all this boohooing and tearful nonsense, and you're censoring us, and what about free speech? Charlie was supposed to have free speech. You monsters. But Kimmel is crying that, the right's trying to censor my speech. Okay, you know what? That's an interesting claim you made there, Jimmy. And from which side of the aisle came the assassin that shot you in the neck, Jimmy? Oh, that's right. Because we don't do that. Tim Pool did an interesting thing on his show last night. He pulled up, I think he went to ChatGPT for it and asked ChatGPT about the numbers on political violence, who does it more. And ChatGPT said there were zero left-wing politically motivated incidents of violence. And live on the show, Tim goes through and he said, okay, there we go. Sorry about that. That's the video that I've got queued up for later. We'll get to that in a minute. Damn, that distracted me. So Tim goes on and asks, who is, where's the violence? And ChatGPT says there's zero left-wing violence. And so immediately, Tim says, well, now hold on a minute. What about the guy who assassinated Charlie Kirk? And ChatGPT, okay, so there was one incident of politically left-motivated violence. Wait, what about the CEO? What about the health insurance CEO? I forget his name. Okay, well, so there's two. Right, and he went through this with ChatGPT. Well, what about the attempted assassination of Donald Trump? Okay, so there's three. What about the second attempted assassination? Oh, yeah, okay, so there's four. And then Tim says, what about 2020? And it goes down the list. And it's like, it came back with a number that was like just a hair south of 14,000. And this is specifically charged and reported incidents. That number does not include the people who threw Molotov cocktails and assaulted police officers, throwing milkshakes at speakers who were never arrested and charged. Right? So that number gets to be astronomical. TPS report says this is why you should never apologize, because the apology will never be good enough. Fuck the cancel mob, whether it's on the left or the right. I generally agree until you got down to this bit where you said whether it's on the left or the right. I'm done offering apologetics for the sociopaths who seek to murder me. So if I see lefties getting canceled, getting boycotted, getting the Bud Light treatment, I don't care about their free speech. Right? I stand by this, okay? I stand by this. I may not agree with what you have to say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. Until you've made it very clear, right? This is where the change happens. Until, as the left has done in this country, you make it very clear that you would not do the same for me. Because that's where we're at. The conservative position is the First Amendment matters. The censorship of political speech, and that's important, the censorship of speech is a bad thing. But what has become incredibly clear is that the left does not believe this. You've got them crying and pitching a temper tantrum about Jimmy Kimmel getting thrown off the air, not for saying something that was politically unpopular, for lying about the victim of an assassination and then calling for more violence. And let's be very, very clear, very explicit about what's happening when they lie about Charlie Kirk, right? When Stephen King tweets, well, he supported stoning gay people to death, right? When JoJo from Brooklyn, or whatever her name is, tweets, he said that black women have low IQ, have too low an IQ to perform certain jobs. Okay, these are not things that Charlie Kirk said. The closest they can get with any of those claims are something akin to the very fine people on both sides hoax. Right? So, it'd be like me saying right now, there are some people who believe that black women are stupid and lazy, and then I say something, defending the opposite position, and they just clip the phrase right there, black women are stupid and lazy. And that's the only thing that anybody hears. It's a lie. It's a deliberate lie. And the point to the lie is to paint a target on you. Because the left understands something. They understand something very important. And let me be specific here. The leadership on the left. And by the leadership on the left, I mean their elected political leaders, their party leadership, their public speaking pundits, right? And yes, I mean people like Brooklyn Dad Defiant, JoJo from Jersey, I think is her name, right? Ed Krasenstein. These people understand that more than half of self-identified Democrat voters have diagnosed and currently treated mental illnesses. Which is not to say that every single member of that more than half of Democrat voters with diagnosed, currently treated mental illnesses is a dangerous homicidal sociopath. But many of the drugs with which they're treated come with the side effect on the label may cause homicidal ideation. So you take half of 3.5 million people, right? Roughly half the population votes on the left and roughly half votes on the right. You take roughly half, right? So you're in the plus 150 area. And half of those, so you're talking, somewhere around 75, 80 million Democrat loyalists, voters, etc. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 75 million deranged left-wingers who are being medicated with drugs that carry the side effect of suicidal and homicidal ideation, and you tell them that all the white men want to murder them. They know what they're doing. They know that they have a large pool in which swims a substantial number of dangerous sociopaths who are easily brainwashed, who are easily lied to, and will take action given the opportunity. And so they go out on the stage and they say, "Will someone please rid me of this priest?" Right? Now, all of these assholes who have been saying that, oh, well, we need to, censorship is bad, and well, we can't do this, because if we do, then when the Democrats get back in power, then they're going to come and do it to us. If we do it to them, they'll do it to us. Let me see. Where's the letter? Okay. Interesting story. We just got the letters from the law firm without the Alphabet Corporation, and it's a long letter. We're not going to read the whole thing, but I'll basically explain to you what's in the letter, and you can go and read it on this. It's posted on Twitter and everywhere else. Yesterday, Google, the Alphabet Corporation, Google, that's YouTube, that's Google, that's the largest search engine in the world, admitted explicitly to actively banning and removing political voices from the right. Jimmy Kimmel got banned for essentially saying that, I want to be careful. I don't want to put words in his mouth. I want to ascribe intent. He lied about who Charlie Kirk was. And the reason they lie about who Charlie Kirk was is so that they can make it okay that he was murdered. They want their psychos to believe that this murder was justified, that this was a good thing. Oh, it's terrible that he died the way he did, but he was shut the fuck up. But he was a really bad guy, right? That sentence is not complicated. That sentence is, the assassination of people I disagree with politically is justifiable and tolerated. That is what the statement. Charlie Kirk was it's awful that he died the way he died, but no. You were a dangerous, violent sociopath. You have lost your mind. You didn't have principles to begin with. And then when we see this statement from ABC, or I'm sorry, from the Alphabet Company, the Alphabet Company is not ABC. In the context of the conversation around whether or not Kimmel should get his job back, Kimmel was off the air for 6 days. Alex Jones has been off YouTube for more than 10 years now. Stefan Molyneux, similarly, right? Devin Stack, Nick Fuentes. I don't care if you agree with these people. They were censored. And as the letter from Alphabet makes clear, right? Remember, the argument was all when it was happening to us on the right, right? When this channel was demonetized in the adpocalypse, which, I mean, let's be real. It was only a couple $100 a month back then, so it stung my pride more than my wallet, but it still pissed me off. And we still haven't been remonetized on YouTube, by the way. The whole thing, TPS report says, I doubt they'll even let channels get their old name back. Actually, the letter says something about, says that Google commits to offer all creators previously kicked off YouTube due to political speech violations to return to the platform. But you broke my train of thought. Oh, so their argument was the argument that Kimmel, in fact, himself made when right-wing commentators were being censored off of platforms, off of all platforms, by the way. We have the Twitter files, Facebook files, now the YouTube letter, right? We know. And the argument they made was, well, these are private platforms. You have a right to free speech. You can say anything you want in the privacy of your own home. But private companies like YouTube, like Facebook, like Google, like, oh, I don't know, Jimmy, ABC, private platforms have no obligation to give you a platform and amplify your free speech. So you have free speech. You say whatever you want in the privacy of your own room, in your own home, right? And that's your free speech. Now, hold on a minute. There's such things as the public square, but forget that argument for a moment. The letter from Alphabet's lawyers, let's be precise. The letter from Alphabet's lawyers explicitly details that much of the censorship that has been done since 2020 was done at the direct request and behest of the Biden administration. So the accusation surrounding Kimmel's dismissal is that Brandon Carr, chairman of the FCC, was instrumental in pressuring ABC to remove Kimmel's show. And of course, we can assume based on that tenuous fabrication that Donald Trump told Brandon Carr to go and tell ABC to fire Kimmel. But the fact is, Kimmel went on stage and basically put ABC on the hook, put ABC, more importantly, ABC's insurance companies on the hook by lying about Charlie Kirk, justifying and calling for more violence by doing that. He put ABC's insurance companies on the hook for the next politically motivated terrorist attack. And how did he get back on the air? What got him back on the air? Now, I'm not going to suggest that Kimmel orchestrated this, but it was convenient for him because even though with his dishonest speech that got him removed because he put ABC's insurance company on the hook as what would be one of many defendants in civil litigation at a minimum after the next major left-wing terror attack. What got him reinstated? Oh, man who fired gun into ABC affiliate office had note to do the next scary thing, prosecutors say. That's right. Right after Jimmy Kimmel was removed, a left-wing sociopath with a letter that said, I need to do the next scary thing, a man suspected of firing a gun at the ABC affiliate's office in California's capital had written notes in his car that were critical of Donald Trump's administration and a calendar reminder on his fridge to do the next scary thing, prosecutors said Monday. Nobody was hurt in the shooting Friday into the lobby of the studios of ABC 10 near downtown Sacramento. Local authorities arrested Annabelle Hernandez Santana, 64, on Friday on suspicion of assault with a deadly weapon and shooting into an occupied building. He was released hours later on a $200,000 bail. That's right. The left-wing terrorist is out on bail. Or was released on bail. Hernandez was rearrested Saturday night by the FBI and will also face federal charges related to interfering with a federally licensed station and discharging a firearm within a school zone. His defense attorney, Mark Reichel, said Hernandez Santana would plead not guilty in both the state and federal cases. He's next due back in court on Thursday. He is innocent unless and until he is found otherwise, Reichel said in a statement. And I'm sure that there are no cameras on the building around ABC that can corroborate the suspicion of this individual. Now, fair play. I don't know if the guy they've got is the guy they should have. Fair play. I have not seen the videos, right? But that said, And I'm not one generally to give the benefit of the doubt to law enforcement in modernity. They've been disappointing, to say the least, especially the FBI. But in a case like this one, I highly suspect that there's some video that places the shooter at the scene. So this next bit is pure speculation, but it's mostly speculation. Jimmy Kimmel was returned to the air by ABC because ABC's security said, "Hey, we don't know what we can do. We don't know what to do with this." Right? I mean, basically, we need to capitulate to the terrorist demands. Jimmy Kimmel got himself terroristed back onto the air. And again, I'm not suggesting explicitly that Kimmel somehow orchestrated that. I'm saying that the left commits acts of terrorism, and the result is they get what they want. This was the first place that we really saw this begin to develop was at the beginning of BLM with the Ahmaud Arbery case, where Ahmaud Arbery, several prosecutors said, okay, this is a clean-cut case of self-defense in a technically lawful citizen's arrest. Now, I'm not a fan of how the McMichaels went about the citizen's arrest. It was sloppy, but it was legal. It was at the time. And Arbery basically committed suicide by attacking the armed guy. He tried. If somebody else has a gun and you grab the gun and try to snatch it away from them, you have committed a significant tactical error. The case was not going to be pursued. Several prosecutors in a row said, no, this is clearly not a murder. This is clearly an attempted citizen's arrest, and Arbery got himself killed by attacking the armed citizen. And so we're not going to pursue it. And what happened? For each prosecutor, BLM came out and committed terrorism campaigns against the prosecutors until they found one who would take it up. They had to find a black female prosecutor from 100 miles outside of their jurisdiction who said, yeah, I'd love to hang some white boys. And then the judge completely took a shit all over judicial procedure. And one of the most glaring injustices there is the judge, after the defense got up and gave their case, the judge all but instructed the jury, okay, we're just not going to accept that. So Jimmy Kimmel coming back on the air is a big deal because it is a clear signal to the left that there are no lasting consequences for your terrorism. And in fact, we will reward you for acts of terror. That has been an ongoing pattern. Right? What was the case in New York? They arrested some couple of hundred protesters, Antifa protesters, and no, I'm not going to pull it. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you the broad strokes, because there was a case, I believe it was New York, They arrested a bunch of Antifa protesters, took them to court. The court made an argument. The defense made an argument that because the protesters were, hang on, let me back. The prosecutor made the argument that they were an organization because they were wearing a uniform, and they were all dressed in black bloc, but they had the black face masks on, right? Black. You should all know what black bloc is, but you're dressed all in black with a black face mask because you're out there to do some crime, right? Who dresses in all in black and wears a face mask? Robbers, assassins, company men, wet works operatives, right? Special operators, right? People who are there to do bad things. Sometimes the guy that's there to do the bad things are our rough men ready to do violence on your behalf. Sometimes they're BLM terrorists. So the prosecution made the argument that the uniform made them an organization and tried to hit them with conspiracy charges. The defense made the argument that because of the nature of the uniform, you cannot be certain that everybody you arrested was actually engaged in the activity, because some of these people might have just happened to be wearing all black, and that doesn't count. And the result was each of the defendants was not only not convicted, not only released, but the city had to pay millions out to them. The signal is clear. If you are a leftist and commit acts of terrorism, the system will reward you. Jimmy Kimmel is a prime example. Let's take a look. Let's actually watch. The opening monologue is 17 minutes. We're not going to watch all of that, but I do want to watch. I do want to watch a bit of it with you. There's some stuff here that I want to talk about.
Thank you. Anyway, as I was saying before I was interrupted.
So he opens with a joke about Trump's assassination, right? That's what that is. So Donald Trump was the target of an assassination attempt at Butler, PA. He went back to Butler, PA like a month later, and he began that speech with, as I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted. Right? So after all the after everything else, Jimmy opens up with a joke about an attempted assassination on the President of the United States.
If you're just joining us, we are preempting your regularly scheduled encore episode of Celebrity Family Feud to bring you this special report. I'm happy to be here tonight with you.
Of course he's happy. Of course he's happy to be here tonight with you. He just got his job back because terrorists demanded it. And I haven't even covered the firing stuff. Let me throw this at you real quick. Understand that Jimmy Kimmel's ratings were absolutely in the toilet, right? Now, I know, Stones in Glass Houses, this show does a few hundred views per episode, right? Yeah, but this show doesn't cost a few $1 million per episode either, right? This show cost me about 37 cents in coffee. $5 if I count all the prep coffee up to going live, right? This show basically cost me nothing to do. So, that's apples and oranges. But this is Kimmel's job. Kimmel's a multimillionaire. And he's getting less than $250,000, less than 200,000, less than 150,000 views in the key demo. And when you're talking about a professional broadcaster, that's non-existent. The key demo is the 18 to, what is it, 18 to 49, I think. It's 18 to something. 18 to because I've got the numbers pulled up right here. I thought I had the numbers pulled up right here. It doesn't say what the key demo is. Anyway, the key demo. Yeah, there it is. I'm correct. for 18 to 49. And what it means, the key demo, that's who buys stuff. All right. Like, give you an example, help you understand this better. Sorry, Dad. Sorry, Danny. But go watch you some Fox News or some CNN sometime, and you'll find actually Amazon Prime, right? If you've got the version of Amazon Prime where you're not paying extra to not see ads, so you get the little commercial interruptions like it's the 1990s all over again. Every other ad, at least, is a pharmaceutical ad, right? What are Fox News and CNN and ABC and all these companies showing? They're showing a lot of pharmaceutical ads, ED medication ads, Depends, right? Insure, right? Boomer shit. They're not showing commercials. They're not showing commercials for sports cars and designer clothes and, European vacations, right? Y'all, moderately related aside, Christmas has gotten cheap because nobody's having kids. And so Mattel and all those companies, Hot Wheels, action figures, whatever, they're not making commercials anymore. When's the last time you were watching TV with your kids and a commercial came on for the next new hot toy? And they said, "Ooh, Daddy, can I have that for Christmas?" Like, I mean, Your Majesty, I owe you an apology because I clearly remember in the 80s and 90s having a Christmas list. And now that I'm older and I step on Legos, I can clearly see where, I was brainwashed into demanding you buy me useless garbage for ridiculous quantities of cash. And Dad, I'm sorry. I wasn't smarter back then. It's heartbreaking. My kids have Legos and soccer balls. I say that in fairness. My two older daughters have a moderately expensive yarn habit because I swear to God, I'll go out, work some gigs, I'll come home. What do I find? My wife and at least two of my daughters sitting on the couch watching Gilmore Girls, drinking herbal tea, and knitting socks. I'll tell you something, guys. When you can say that, you've done it correctly. Right? So, but as I was saying, Kimmel was on his way out. Right? We just saw Colbert get fired. And it was the same thing. Nobody's watching their show. Right? So what I believe happened with Kimmel, what I'm reasonably certain happened with Kimmel, without getting into conspiracy theory just yet, but I do have a conspiracy theory, a suspicion. What I think actually happened with Kimmel is his ratings were in the toilet, right? Disney's ratings are in the toilet. Disney is losing a mint on their streaming service. They're losing billions of dollars right now. Their last two dozen? The last 24 movies Disney made have been at a net loss. Disney's getting their asses kicked right now by people getting tired of having, everything being gay and lame. I don't want my kids watching stuff that's lame and gay. I don't. I want them to see happy families, right? I want superheroes that grew up with a mommy and a daddy. Bring me back a real Superman. right? Yeah, they ruined Star Wars and Marvel, absolutely. But so Jimmy Kimmel's not performing, especially in the key demo, right? He's getting his ass kicked there, and he just saw his buddy Steve Colbert lose his gig. So now Colbert's still in the air. His contract has been non-renewed. Colbert is out at I think in February of next year, if I remember correctly. So when Kimmel went out and said the disgusting things he said about Charlie Kirk, ABC saw that as a good excuse to get rid of him. They were probably planning on non-renewing his contract and just letting his show die anyway. And then they were handed on a silver platter this golden excuse. Violation of the morality clause of my entertainment contract. And they just couldn't help but run with it. I don't blame them. It's a smart move. Here's the conspiracy theory. Tucker Carlson was the highest performing talent on Fox News. Cancel culture came for him. And there was outrage from his fan base, his large fan base. And he started his own show. He went solo, started a show on X. His audience followed him there. And he got a little bit of love from the Streisand effect, the outrage over his cancellation, that boosted his numbers. Kimmel saw the success. This is my conspiracy theory here. I give it about a 50% chance of being what really happened or close to it. Having seen the success of Carlson and several others, frankly, I mean, there have been several right-wing conservative pundits and comedians who have been canceled and then gone on to have very successful, Megyn Kelly's another one. There have been several of those. And Kimmel says to himself, ABC's getting ready to fire me. I know. Hey, boss man. He goes to the ABC executives. He says, here's the play. I'm going to go out there and say something really stupid. And then, when you have no choice but to fire me because I violated the morality clause of the contract, I get to cry victim, and then I can go start myself a YouTube channel. And I'll be as big as Tucker, because everybody will be so pissed off about the free speech thing. We'll get conservatives to watch my show because they'll be pissed off about the free speech thing. Now, I'm going to back up just a little bit. As far as defending free speech, Kimmel does not deserve the rough men to do violence on his behalf. Right? Rorschach said it best. The city looks up. I see down there in the rotting gutters, the politicians, the lawyers, the liars, and the whores. And they'll look up to the sky and see me on the roof. And they'll cry out, help me. And I'll say no. I'm tired of digging your hole. Or I'm tired. I'm tired of trying to drag you out while you keep on digging your hole. Right? Okay. In the army, we practice group punishment for certain things. And it's all about learning together, building rapport, building the esprit de corps. You want the drill sergeants when you're in training, when you're in TRADOC, the drill sergeant is the common enemy, right? You're not supposed to like the drill sergeant, right? comically, several of my old drill sergeants are my friends on Facebook, and now that we're old and retired and have those rose-colored nostalgia glasses on, we have pretty good relationships. And in fairness, I had a pretty good relationship with them back then. So here's a story for you, and it relates to this. You'll get it. So, God, I wish Mario was on this morning because I'm pretty sure it was his fault. I think it was. No, it wasn't. It was anyway. So I'm walking through the company area, which is like a big open space where there's enough room for at least a platoon to have formation. And Drill Sergeant Sunnydale Hyde, all 4'9" of him, are standing there with his freaking brown round that was wider than his little bitty shoulders. Sorry, Sunnydale, you are a certain caricature. has about 24 privates on the ground doing push-ups as I come walking in. I'm in civilian clothes. It's a Saturday. I've been out on the town. I was at the lunch or a movie or something. I was probably hanging out with Felicia. No, it was Bravo Company. I hadn't met V yet. Anyway, so I come walking in from wherever it was I was. And he's got 24 privates on the floor doing push-ups. And I know what's up. I drop and I start pushing. And we're all pushing, and he's kind of talking to him and explaining what's going on. I hate to say it, I don't actually remember what the infraction was, but it was something just irascibly stupid. And so I'm doing my push-ups, and then like the drill sergeant's asking what was it that happened, or what did you think X was? And the privates on the ground, one of them said, drill sergeant, kind of explaining what they had done, and it was something stupid. They had done something incredibly stupid. And they said that, and I stood up to walk away, and as soon as I stood up, Sunnydale looks at me and says, Lowry, what do you think you're doing? And I looked at him and I said, drill sergeant, I understand that the Army needs me to keep an eye on my battle buddy and make sure that he's safe and to take care of him. I do, right? What the Army needs is for me to stop my battle buddy before he walks into that minefield. What the Army cannot afford is for me to follow him in there when my best efforts have failed to secure his safety. That's who the lefties are, right? We're all Americans. We're all battle buddies of a sort in that way, right? God, the country, the family need us to look out for each other and take care of each other. But there's a point where altruism becomes suicidal, right? The Army needs you to stop your battle buddy before he walks into that minefield. But it does not need you to follow his dumbass in after all of your best efforts have proved insufficient. And believe it or not, there are some people who are just so committed to their own suicidal idiocy that you cannot recover them with any efforts. Once you recognize that pattern, right? Here, I'm going to share a video clip. I'm going to share a clip with you because once you recognize that pattern, you must recognize it for what it is. You must recognize it for what it is. It is suicidal.
Let me go.
No.
Why not? What difference does it make to you?
Have you ever seen the aftermath of a suicide bombing?
We're wasting time.
I have. June 29th, 2003. I was meeting two associates at the Marouche restaurant in Tel Aviv. As my car was pulling up, a 20-year-old Palestinian named Ghazi Safar entered the restaurant and detonated a vest wired with C4. The shockwave knocked me flat, blew out my eardrums. I couldn't hear the smoke. It was like being underwater. I went inside, a nightmare, blood, parts of people. You could tell where Safar was standing when the vest blew. It was like a perfect circle of death. There was almost nothing left of the people closest to him. 17 dead, 46 injured, blown to pieces. The closer they were to the bomber, the more horrific the effect. That's every suicide. Every single one. An act of terror perpetrated against everyone who's ever known you. Everyone who's ever loved you. The people closest to you, the ones who cherish you, are the ones who suffer the most pain, the most damage. Why would you do that? Why would you do that to people who love you?
So when you recognize the tendency, when you recognize what's happening, yes, you want to stop it. You want to prevent the suicidal tendency, right? But there is a no return point. There is a point of no return. Right? I don't know how many of you guys have known people who committed suicide, or actually seen a suicide bomber kill a bunch of people. I've had to deal with both of those things. And Red is right. You know, it's every single suicide is like, it's the closer you are to ground zero, right? The more it hurts you. The more you get hurt. And like I said, the Army needs you to stop your battle buddy from walking into the minefield. But we cannot afford for you to follow him in. Once he's in, he's on his own. You do everything you can to stop him before it's too late, but you have to recognize when it's too late. And for the lefties, especially in the conversation about censorship, given their track record on the topic, it's too late.
Not sure who had a weirder 48 hours, me or the CEO of Tylenol. It's been overwhelming. I've heard from a lot of people over the last 6 days. I've heard from all the people 11 times. Weird characters from my past are not airing tonight, by the way. Sorry, Seattle. His name is Larry. In 1989, Larry tried to force me to do a bit called Jokes for Donuts, where people would call in with a joke and I would give them donuts. I refused to do it, and then I made a lot of fun of Larry for suggesting it, and eventually Larry fired me, and I had to move back in with my parents. But even he wrote in to cheer me up. Thank you, Larry, and I want to thank everyone who checked in.
Okay, we're skipping the rest of his acknowledgments. I wanted to play that little piece of it, though, because he just said he got fired for refusing to do a segment called Jokes for Donuts, where people call in and tell a joke and we give them donuts. Why? I mean, what? You had a solid giveaway gag that would be good for... Okay, so you've always been a fucking retard. Got it. Sun Carnation says Kimmel number 1. Yeah, that's not what the Nielsen survey says.
Some that I do especially want to mention are my fellow late night talk show hosts, my friend Stephen Colbert.
Now, Colbert came out and made some comments about Kimmel, where it seems like basically Colbert knows his time's up, and he was trying to get himself fired because he knows he's done. His contract's over. He's not coming back next year, and it seemed very much like he was trying to get out of doing the rest of the show. And then I want to go through this bit, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up for the day.
Mitch McConnell, Rand Paul, even my old pal Ted Cruz, who, believe it or not, said something very beautiful on my behalf.
I hate what Jimmy Kimmel said. I am thrilled that he was fired.
Oh, wait, no, not that. The other part.
But let me tell you.
And this, I want you to pay close attention here.
Oh, wait, no, not that. The other part.
But let me tell you, if the government gets in the business of saying,
What you
we
can
don't
and can't
like
say.
what you, the media, have said, we're going to ban you from the airwaves if you don't say what we like. That will end up bad for conservatives.
I don't think I've ever.
It won't end up bad for conservatives, guys. This is that cowardice that we were talking about, that I was talking about earlier, that I've talked about before. This, again, this is the letter from the Alphabet Corporation admitting that not only did they censor conservative speech on the internet, and we've known this, right? We had the Twitter files and the Facebook files. What's it been? 5 years ago now? 4 years now. We've had them, right? We know. This is not a conspiracy theory. We have the documents. We have the evidence. And now we have essentially a written confession from Alphabet's lawyers that what happened is the Biden administration, the Obama administration, the Clinton campaign, the DNC, right, were all actively involved. And they used the IC, the FBI, the CIA, right, to pressure these groups, Alphabet, Facebook, Meta, Twitter, X, etc., into censoring people based on political speech. So no, Ted. No. Right. And I'm not advocating for the federal government to do the things that the federal government has already done. But I want to make the point that the argument that we can't do X for the reason that the Democrats will get power, and then if we did it, then they'll do it. No. Ted, nobody's asking the federal government to do anything that the Democrats haven't already done. It's not that they'll do it when they get power if we do it now. It's that they'll do it whether or not. And more to the point, if we don't at least stop rewarding terrorists like the guy that shot up the ABC place with capitulating to their demands, like putting Jimmy Kimmel back on the air less than a week after he was suspended for the violations of his morality clause and, frankly, just being a shit showman. If we don't stop rewarding terrorists, excusing terrorists, refusing to prosecute terrorists, then the left is just going to run roughshod, burn down the cities, and murder everybody. Why do we believe that to be the case? Because past behavior is the best predictor of future behavior. What do they do? Oh, they murder people and burn down cities. I see. So, yeah, Dan says he's wrong. Kimmel's lie to incite violence. Okay, Danny, I need you to English better than that for comments like this, so I can. But I spoke to Pitt. I spoke to Danny on the phone yesterday. Our buddy Pitt Danny has an FCC license, has experience in broadcasting, and what he's trying to say, but poorly. I hate to beat up on you, Danny, but boomers. What Kimmel did, telling a lie with the clear purpose to incite violence, is an explicit violation of the FCC. So even if the FCC could have come and removed ABC's broadcasting license in full compliance with the law, and that would not be a violation of First Amendment. That would not be the censorship of speech. That would be the suspension of the license as a punishment for the violation of the law. And like Danny pointed out yesterday, you still can't say Carlin's 7 words on broadcast. If you're on an FCC-controlled broadcast medium, You still can't say Carlin's 7 words on the air. I mean, that is what it is. All right. I don't want to listen to any more of Jimmy Kimmel's clip. I wanted to get through that bit. I wanted to make a comment about how wrong Ted Cruz was to say what he said. It's uninspired, unintelligent, short-sighted, and cowardly, and just not an acceptable position for a Republican to hold. So, y'all, thanks for watching this morning. We love you, and we will see you tomorrow.